Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honour to join you today on this decarbonisation panel at Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. Sustainability and the global transition to renewable energy is without doubt the greatest challenge and greatest opportunity of our time. To illustrate this, I'd like to tell you about my personal journey to where I am today. In Australia, we have something called a cooey. It's called cooey. It's a cry you make in the outback, right out in the bush, Western Australia, where I grew up, to let other people know that you were there, or to try and get their attention, even if you couldn't see them, because they might have been half a kilometre away. So the expression, if you were not within cooey of something, meant you were nowhere near it. 11 years ago, when I started looking at green hydrogen, I felt distinctly alone. There was a lack of clarity, there's a lack of vision, and a total lack of political will and leadership. We were nowhere near a solution to global warming. But today, from global mining companies to energy giants, to the moving forward, the forward-thinking oil and gas majors and governments such as your own, thinking is converging at speed, converging on the commercial solution to what is our greatest threat, global warming. Ladies and gentlemen, many of us have heard me speak of the fact that if methane emissions, natural methane emissions, not from the oil and gas sector, not from coal mining, not from industry, but just natural methane emissions, isn't overcome by natural methane absorption, then when that tipping point occurs, which will happen in global warming if we don't stop it, then the world will just keep on cooking. There'll be nothing we can do. The solutions will not be there to stop our planet from cooking, and we must find those solutions now. I want to thank everyone in this audience, and particularly the leaders of Abu Dhabi, because they know that those solutions will keep methane, the lethal greenhouse gas, in the ground and allow that ugly sleeping giant, permafrost, to stay asleep. If permafrost, which is everywhere and all over the tundra, begins to warm, like we've seen happening in Russia already with major disasters, huge loss of life, that begins to warm and release that methane, that's probably enough to cook us all. So it's our job right here in Abu Dhabi to commence the world's journey against that happening. For my part, just over a year ago, the company I founded, Forrest, was still a pure play iron ore producer. Today, while we are one of the world's largest iron ore producers, we're also a $53 billion green energy and future-facing metals and mining giant, which is committed to going completely carbon-free by 2030 and helping the rest of the industrial world with the solutions, with the hydrogen, and with the leadership of Abu Dhabi to make that happen. Why? Well, it's not just because it's the right thing to do, but it's because if we can uncouple our economy from finite polluting fossil fuels only, what Abu Dhabi and the Middle East and so many other parts of the world, but particularly here, have in huge abundance, and that's green energy. The energy you're blessed with above you and around you and not below your feet. That presents an enormous and unprecedented opportunity for people all over the Middle East and right here in Abu Dhabi. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in the room here today knows that the UAE has the potential to be the leader in the Middle East in green hydrogen and one of the top 3 producers globally. But the power rests not in what is beneath our feet anymore, oil and gas, but what's within our hearts, what's within our spirit, and that is our courage to lead. The technology exists, the resources, the water, the sunlight, it all exists right here at home in Abu Dhabi. The willpower, the leadership and determination are within the chest of your people, the beating heart of your leaders. In this great country, you have what it takes to change the course of global warming, to save humanity from the scientifically determined proof of what global warming will bring to your world, to the world at large. Calamity. Of course, speed of execution alongside quality leadership will determine which countries are the winners of the energy transition. But again, the UAE is very well placed. Ladies and gentlemen, I expect your country to be a major exporter of green hydrogen and green ammonia well within this decade. By 2022, this is not the year for words, but 2022 is the year for action. And this year, Fortescue's focus is on generating our first green molecules of green hydrogen here in Australia and shortly in the UAE, working with Abu Dhabi and the UAE governments. It's on partnering with forward-looking governments like yours to build industrial-scale renewable energy and green hydrogen plants that support local communities, that support local economies, that support national economies and communities far into the future, that holds the key to a future sustainable, prosperous UAE. This year, we will break ground on an electrolyser factory that will double the world's capacity of electrolysers and bring the cost of converting water to pure green hydrogen right down. We're exploring the feasibility of repurposing 2 major coal-fired power stations, which account for 40% of emissions from Australia's largest state, New South Wales, into green hydrogen facilities. We can do that with facilities right here in the UAE. We don't have to just get the gas out of the ground. We can get hydrogen gas right out of the atmosphere in the UAE. And this year, to prove this, to prove the market is so strong, we'll put our first green-powered ship by green ammonia onto the ocean in full commercial operations for the first time, ladies and gentlemen. We've been the first in trains, the first in heavy mining trucks, and I'd like to see, by the time of COP28, that green hydrogen ship roll into the port of Abu Dhabi. We will also have green hydrogen fuel cells in our Fortescue haul trucks, as I mentioned, and we will continue to develop locomotives that run on green ammonia and use the natural power of the sun for all their energies. Finally, we're partnering with our long-term friends and customers right here in the UAE and across the world to trial green iron production. Iron, which so far has always been costly to the environment in its manufacture, could become the holy grail of sustainability, green steel. In short, Fortescue is committed to becoming the world's largest vertically integrated green energy and green industry manufacturing company to serve the UAE, driven by ambitious industry-leading net zero for our big manufacturing, big heavy industry company, big carbon emitting company, net zero by 2030. Thank you again, Abu Dhabi, for inviting me here today to be part of this great panel. This year, I know we can work together to accelerate the transition to net zero and bring our 2 regions even closer together. Thank you very much.